So the story of how we met actually goes back about 5 years ago. Brendon and I actually went to the same high school. So when I was a freshman, he was a senior. And I remember seeing him in the hallways all the time. And I thought that he was really cute. I never planned on telling him.
I knew her brother growing up. I played sports with him when I was really young and actually had some classes with him through high school. And I was pretty familiarized with him and your family. And they actually went to the same church that my family went to. And I had actually, and we talked about this as soon as we started talking, I actually remembered there's this water park that is close to where we live, and I was there with some friends, and she was there performing. She was singing on stage, and I remembered walking close to where she was at and stopping and seeing her and thinking she was cute.
But it wasn't until I graduated high school and was in my freshman year of college now that I had noticed that Brendon followed me on Twitter. And it kind of caught my eye because I remembered that I liked him, and at this point I was now actually friends with his sister. I was super curious to kind of know why he followed me. I was kind of like keeping up with him through Instagram, seeing what all he was about, what he was doing in his life, and I noticed how strong he seemed in his faith.
I don't remember how or why or when she caught my eye on social media or when I started to really notice her. I do remember her catching my attention and me seeing her active in her faith, and she was leading worship, and she was so involved and so intentional about her walk with Christ that obviously as another Christian I was extremely attracted to that, and it caught my eye, so I started to follow her on social media. And we had both kind of noticed that we were both kind of paying attention a little bit, and we actually both almost coincidentally reached out to each other at the exact same time on Instagram. She had posted something on her story and I had posted something on my story, and I clicked send before she did, but we had actually both almost sent a message to each other at the exact same time. And I didn't believe her. I still to this day think she's still bluffing a little bit.
No.
But that was just really cool. And so we reconnected on Instagram.
I was going to DM you, and I was like, no, the girl shouldn't send the first message. You should pursue me. I'm not going to do it. In that moment, I was sitting there trying to think and be intentional. If this is someone that I'm supposed to be with, then I trust that God will take care of that. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to take it into my own hands. That's why I didn't click send.
So it was really cool to just be able to kind of get an idea, get a feel for who each other were without the pressure of oh, we need to go on a date or anything like that. And I was still actually 3 hours away at college when this was happening. So we had a pretty big distance between us. We weren't actually physically hanging out. We were just FaceTiming, texting. As the end of my time at college, I had finals coming up, projects and stuff. Our conversation, our communication kind of trickled away a little bit. We still kind of barely kept in contact, but then after I actually graduated, I don't remember how or why or when, but we actually reconnected again, even though we never did really disconnect. I actually asked her out on a date, and she said no.
Well, that's not really what happened.
What happened then?
I said yes, I think. Yes, I did. I said yes. But then, the next day, I felt convicted because I was like, ooh, my year isn't up. I think I like him, but I was so oblivious. I had no idea that you liked me. But then the next day, I texted you and I was like, hey, I'm sorry, but I'm just gonna have to say no to a date right now. Even though I wanted to, that commitment was still important to me and my main focal point. So he was super respectful in those regards.
Just so you know though, after you had denied me and stated that, it actually made me more attracted to you because I respected that you valued your relationship with Jesus more than you did any relationship on this earth. And that in and of itself was extremely attractive. So during that season when that was happening, I was like, she's a stud. She is awesome. She is on fire for Jesus, and she said no to a date just so she could respect her commitment to the Lord. I knew I couldn't just leave. I wanted to respect that, and I valued the friendship that we had and the conversations that we were having. So I think that's what really helped fuel, and carry our relationship into the dating stage, is the fact that we were able to respect and grow as friends before we even started to get extremely intentional about it.
So I think that is kind of what made it so cool too, so that while the friendship and then feelings kind of started to grow, like it was never off of like looks or anything like that. Like we completely grew that off of Jesus while being apart.
Yeah, so after that had happened, after we had started to walk through that,
Brendon started to make so many trips up to Indiana.
I coincidentally had things that I had to do. We kind of both understood, like,
what was going on.
We have a pretty rock solid friendship. We're both in a position to where dating would be really cool, like we had started to entertain the idea. And I remember having an intentional conversation with her, and I had actually mentioned that I had like super strong feelings for her, and I was like, well, we need to have like the talk, like what are we, where are we going?
She invited me to go to Winter Jam, which is like this big Christian concert, a whole bunch of different people, and I drove down and I stayed with my friend, and that's when I realized that I liked Brendon, and I kind of made it okay with myself to know that I had feelings for him, and I texted him, I was like, well, so I like you.
I remember that.
And you're like, explain. And then I like sent you this whole long thing.
I think the distance helped a lot, and it's not practical for everyone else, so it's hard to...
I think that it was so good for us, though.
It really helped. The fact that I was 3 hours away while this was all happening, it added this level of, I wouldn't say protection, but it in a sense made our relationship stay kind of at its boundaries that it was. That was a really cool time in our relationship when we were growing, and we were aware of our feelings and our attractions towards each other, but we were very careful and intentional about how we allowed those to grow and what moving forward that looked like.
We continued through that season, continued getting advice, continued to make sure that our hearts were in the right places, and it just continued with Brendon making trips up, hanging out with friends. And then after my year was up, Brendon asked me to be his girlfriend. If you make it to the end of the video, then you pretty much just time traveled like 8 months, because we made that video and didn't do anything. It cut off by saying we'd been dating for however long it was, and I couldn't post it because
I kind of proposed.
Yeah, we're no longer dating.
We are not dating anymore. We are engaged.
Yeah. So this is the end of the video. We'd like to continue making videos, just kind of talking about topics that we have in mind, but if you guys want us to continue to make videos, then we will, and you can let us know. But yeah, we don't really have any strict plans, but we hope you enjoyed hearing about our story, and we will possibly see you again some other time.